Melody of the Broken Promise. Once upon a time, in a serene Hmong village nestled in emerald hills, Chay's flute filled the air with tender melodies as Meena's laughter echoed beneath an ancient banyan tree. Their bond, as delicate as jasmine blossoms, promised eternal love, until fate intervened, weaving tale of passion, sacrifice, and longing that would forever echo through the hills. 2. A young affluent man arrived in a gilded carriage, his gold-trimmed attire glistening in the sunlight. The village fell silent, every gaze fixed on stranger whose wealth cast a long shadow over their simple lives. 2 stands before Meena and her family, the fading sunlight casting a warm glow over their humble courtyard. In his hand, a golden necklace glints, showcasing its intricate craftsmanship. Meena's family leans forward, hope lighting up their faces at the sight of the gift. Meena, however, remains still, her hands at her sides, uncertain. While 2's confident smile holds, impatience flickers in his as the silence stretches. The moment is heavy with the unspoken tension of expectations and the doubts in Meena's heart. Before the first light dawn broke the horizon, Chay approached Meena's door in silence, careful not to wake the sleeping village. In his hands, he carried a garland of fresh wildflowers he had woven under the moonlight, soft jasmine, vibrant marigolds, and a single lotus at its center. He gently set it down on her doorstep, the delicate petals glistening with dew. Unlike 2's gilded gifts, the garland conveyed sincerity and devotion, a quiet promise only Meena would understand. Beneath the village's ceremonial pavilion, tension permeated the atmosphere as the elders engaged in a heated debate. Some, entranced by 2's wealth, advocated for what his union with Meena could bring. Others, their brows knitted with concern, questioned his intentions and the cost of such opulence. Meena stood apart, her heart weighed down, as her future teetered on the balance of words and conflicting visions for the village's destiny. Chay stood resolute before the village elders, his flute firmly grasped in his hand. His gaze locked with 2's, unwavering in its determination as he spoke with a steady voice. Let the jewel of melodies decide Meena's fate. The crow stirred in shock, the gravity of his challenge palpable in the air, a clash of heart and spirit against wealth and power. Under the glow of lanterns, Chay stepped onto the festival stage, his flute in hand. The first notes rose, haunting and pure, silencing the crowd as his melody wove through their hearts like an unspoken truth. Then came 2's turn. He arrived with a grand procession of drummers and dancers, the stage erupting into a riot of sound and color. The villagers, overwhelmed by the spectacle, erupted in applause as the elders declared 2 the winner. Chay stood in quiet defeat, and his flute lowered, the echoes of his song lingering as love seemed to slip further away. Beneath the gentle illumination of the moon, Meena and Chay met under the towering trees, tears streaming down their faces. In a silent embrace their hearts conveyed what words could not. Meena's voice quivered as she whispered a vow, and Chay responded with a promise, their love transcending this life. The forest kept their secret, with the moonlight as their sole witness. The village buzzed with activity as 2 and Meena's wedding unfolded in a dazzling display of wealth and tradition. Gold-threaded banners adorned the ceremonial space, and tables overflowed with lavish feasts. Meena, draped in ornate finery, moved through the rituals with a forced smile, her sorrow hidden behind downcast eyes. The villagers cheered, but in her heart, the celebration felt like a cage gilded in gold. 2's facade of charm disintegrated in the light of the lantern as he confronted Meena with the bitter truth. This was never about love, he said coldly, piercing the silence. My father wants your family's land, there's gold beneath it. The words lingered in the air, shattering the fragile veil of trust. Meena's eyes widened, her reflection in the nearby mirror, catching the gleam of his gold-trimmed robe, a symbol of greed masquerading as devotion. The room felt stifling as the weight of his betrayal crushed her spirit. Beneath the shade of the venerable banyan tree, Meena collapsed to her knees. Her heart at the sight of Chay's lifeless body flute rested softly beside him, its wood still warm from his final tune. A gentle breeze murmured through the branches, carrying faint echoes of his music, a haunting farewell that lingered the still. Kneeling by the riverbank, Meena lit the lantern with trembling glow illuminating her tear-streaked face. As she released it into the water, the lantern drifted away, its light flickering against the dark current. Her tears fell into the river, merging its flow, carrying her grief and love into the night. In the grand hall of his father's estate, Tuz resounded with raw emotion. "I never wanted this," he exclaimed, his gold-trimmed robe catching the flicker of the chandelier. His father's cold wavered as Tu revealed the truth, Meena's, Chay fate, and the schemes that had ensnared them all. The opulence around him felt hollow, a stark contrast to the gravity of his. Meena entered her modest dwelling, the silence weighing heavily upon her. She set the golden wedding jewelry on the weathered table, its luster diminished by the shadows. Her eyes wandered to the vacant corners of the room, her heart burdened with the sorrow of all she had lost. The once familiar space now seemed alien, dating with memories she could never recover. Amid the festival's lively celebrations, the villagers froze as a flute's melody floated through the air. The haunting, mournful tune carried from the distant hills, its familiar notes weaving through their hearts. Silence fell over the crowd as they listened, the sound a poignant reminder of a love and loss that still lingered in their memories. During the New Year's celebration, a young boy stepped forward, his small hands cradling a simple flute. As he played, the crowd fell silent, recognizing the melody, Chay's melody, played with haunting perfection. When asked where he learned it, the boy smiled and said, "A man in my dreams taught me." His words sent a shiver through the villagers, the music a bridge to a love they thought had faded. Tu wandered through the shadowed forest, his once-elegant attire replaced by humble garments. In his, he clutched a simple bracelet Meena had given him, its woven threads worn but intact. His face bore the weight of guilt, his steps aimless as he replayed the choices that had led to his emptiness. The forest's silence mirrored the of his heart. In the tranquility of a moonlit forest, Meena traversed the path before her, the casting a silver sheen, a familiar melody wafted through the air, guiding her to a clearing where Chay stood, expression serene and his flute in hand. Smiled, extending his hand towards her, and as their fingers met, a profound enveloped her. The melody intensified, transporting them beyond the confines of waking world. Years later, Me, now a revered elder, stood beneath the ancient banyan tree, her presence a beacon of wisdom for the village. Her hands trembled slightly as she placed Chay's flute at the tree's base, its wood worn but cherished. The villagers in silence, understanding the quiet act of remembrance. Though time had softened her sorrow, her love for Ch remained eternal, woven into the fabric of hills and the lives she guided. In the golden light of dusk, Meena stood atop the hill, her softened by a gentle smile. The melody of the flute drifted the air, carried by the wind, weaving through the valleys and over the village below. Its haunting, tender notes seemed to speak of Chay's enduring presence, watching over her and the land they once called home. The music blended with the whispers of the breeze, a timeless echo of their unbroken bond.